What's going on, Bigfoot world? Roland, you there yet? Get over 1,000 subscribers and start having shows like D got and do some narrating. So, really ain't got no topic tonight. Or I had one earlier. Now I don't. I'm gonna wait a bit, see what's going on. Junior, you watching? Sorry I shoved you, dude. Sorry about everything that happened yesterday and what's happened in the past. Well, I need your companionship back. I really do. This room ain't the same without you. Ain't the same without you. Alright, Roland, where you at? What's up, Roland? I'm sitting here, where you at, Roland, for about 2 minutes. Roland, where you from? That damn thing. South Georgia. I lived in Tifton for about a month. I traveled when I was about 20 years old, man, hitchhiking. I went from from Waycross to Valdosta, from Valdosta to Tifton. I lived in Tifton. Boy, that sucked. That town was just nothing. There was nothing there. But yeah, I like Georgia a lot. I like Atlanta. I've been through Atlanta many times. Oh God, what is the name of that? There's a town I went to on vacation with my mom and dad a lot called man, I cannot get the name. It had a horseback riding set up where you went to this motel. They had a famous cottage restaurant that had these tables that had a revolving table, center table in the middle of it that you sat down with a whole group of people you'd never met before, just people that staying there at the hotel, and you all sat at this big huge table that had a revolving, the table revolved around. They sat like all the You didn't order no food off of a menu. You just sat down. They brought all the food to you, and they had just like a buffet line on this table, and you just turned the table to get what you wanted. And I can't. It was something house. Oh shit! I cannot remember the name of that. It'll come to me. How my brain works, it'll pop in there. So I don't really have a Bigfoot discussion tonight, although we can get into one. I mean, it's just like a last night question and answer type of thing. If you want to talk to me, and hopefully Tiffany Nelson will come on. And I'm not sure. I moved down here from Massachusetts 15 years ago. Okay. All right. Good enough. I bet you got some good areas over there in Georgia. Should have some good active areas over there. I'm sitting here doing what Junior usually does and drawing. Started out writing notes throughout my research, and I got pictures all over the shit. Just doodles, mainly. So, what y'all want to talk about? I see I had 2 on here. Who's on here besides Roland? Somebody that don't want to chat. Massachusetts. Ain't Massachusetts is where Billingsgate Bigfoot is? Just bought a 5-acre place with an island in the lake. Heard some whoops. Gotta get to that area. Man, God, you got a lake and an island? Is the house on the island, or is it just a lake that has an island? Man, 5 acres. Does the 5 acres back into like a bigger patch of forest, or is the 5 acres just cut up and there's like a subdivision close by, or I don't know? Because when I lived in Arkansas, I lived in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My first property that was mine, I had 5 acres, and the 5 acres backed into the International Paper Mill property, and it was 280 acres of wilderness out there, man. I had, back then there was no internet and none of that shit. It was, or that there was internet, but there wasn't YouTube or anything, and man, that's cool. I bet you got activity everywhere. I bet you if you walk through them woods, man, and start looking for them structures and start looking for them signs, I bet you'll pick them up like that. If you had some whoops coming up out of there, you definitely got some active areas in there. I would love that. I mean, not that, my area is, I don't mind at all. I mean, but my area is kind of small, but I do have some places I've been wanting to go to out off the river. Hey, Ian, how's it going, man? Ian, you might not like our discussion. We talk a lot about a hip replacement. Man, Roland, I'm sorry to hear that. I know how it is getting old. Yeah, Ian, we kind of talk about all kinds of the paranormal, Bigfoot, as you can say. And Roland, you're only 1 year older than I am, man. I'll be 47 in November. Yeah, Ian, we talk a lot about the parallel universe of hey Scarborough, how's it going? Yeah, I'm chilling myself, Ian. I'm bored. Uh, my friend, my partner that was staying with me, he's took off. He's back in the country. He's actually back where he's at. There's some areas where he lives and around where he lives I'd love to walk through. I've seen the signs just from passing down the interstate and the roads, just looking off into those woods and seeing structures, and tree bands, and just I was either riding with somebody or just couldn't stop. But getting back, Roland, yeah, man, my body is just shot to the curb after that last car accident I had. I hurt everywhere. I mean, just walking is yeah, I hope so. Scarborough, I mean, we really had a bad fallout, so I don't know. It got physical, and the police were involved, and so I don't know. I hope so. I'm just gonna give it some time and just let it uh, blow over a little bit, and oh, I know Tin Man. They're everywhere, man. And I was telling a lot of people, last night, my areas where I'm at. My areas are actually in the city limits of Memphis. They they're they're connected to. They're mainly connected to the Mississippi River. That's the main connection right there. And there's the Wolf River that comes down through Tennessee, goes all the way up into the northern part of Tennessee. I don't know where it first starts out at, but I know starts out as a little creek bed somewhere up in the hills or in the mountains, and then it turns into a little stream, and then turns into a river, and it flows all the way through the city of Memphis. I'm talking the Wolf River flows through the whole city. I'm talking from Collierville, Cordova, all the way through Germantown, uh, East Memphis, all the way through where the penitentiary is, and the Shelby Parks, and it comes through a good majority of the subdivisions and neighborhoods, and to where it finally comes down where I'm at. I'm like 4 or 5 miles from the Mississippi River, and it flows right through my neighborhood. And the woods that are on both sides of it are anywhere between 2 to 3 miles wide to stretch all the way along up the Wolf River. So there's plenty of activity of migrating Sasquatch that travel from the Mississippi River on back up to the northern part of Tennessee, and that's this main traffic area is this river. And there's a few of them that I don't know, got families or something, and stop off and have found a little pocket that's real private, which there are. There's several pockets out in them woods that nobody goes into. I mean, it's non-human. There's no human traffic through there whatsoever. And it's like this Area 3 that I have. They putting in this green line walk where people can ride their bikes and jog up and down the river. That's when there's going to be a lot of, uh, yeah, Scarborough it is, but it's mainly a lot of it's up north. I mean, there was a couple people around this area that tried doing research, and they would travel over to Arkansas or go into Shelby Forest and that area, which I know a couple researchers that do most of their research in Shelby Forest, which is Shelby Forest National Park, which is huge, but I haven't ventured out there. I just seen the signs one day. I was going down the road and I was looking off into these woods, and I'm like, man, there's miles of these woods, and you don't think there's anything, and then all of a sudden I seen some tree bends off the side of the road, and just decided to stop and go look at it. And I'm looking at these bends, and I'm like, these bends have been manipulated down into the ground. They were shoved. The tip of the tree was shoved down in the ground. There was nothing holding it down. There was no deadfall or anything around. So, you know, something shoved these trees down in the ground, these saplings. So that right there ticked me off. And I walked a little further in the wood, and then bam, there's an X, and then bam, there's just, you know, a tripod built, and sure enough, I ran into him. But lately, you know, I've noticed that my original clan that was out there is no longer there. I haven't seen any of them, and they're not showing up in my videos. You know, they're not. I haven't caught them hiding, or, you know, behind a tree, or something like that. And now I'm catching a lot of dogmen in my area, and I'm catching these blurred out, cloaked entities in my piece. But now, yesterday I got one in the tree. I was entering area 3, and I didn't. Scarborough, Chattanooga, 30 years ago, beautiful mountain view. Yeah, I have too. 30 years ago in Chattanooga, I went to Lookout Mountain, and I went to Raccoon Mountain. They had Lookout Mountain had the world's largest water slide on it, and Raccoon Mountain had an alpine slide that went down the entire mountain. You got on this little sled cart and went down the mountain. And I was a little kid. I remember I ignored all the damn. What fool would walk in the woods in 100-degree weather and shove saplings in the dry? I know, right? I know, right? But when I found it, this was like 0-degree weather. You know, I mean, snow was on the ground, and they were easy to spot. But you're absolutely right, Roland. Anyway, getting back to the alpine slide, I was a kid, and you know, 12, 13 years old, they had these dips that went, and it was like a concrete slide all the way down the mountain. It was about a mile, 2.5 miles long, all the way down the mountain. And this sled, if you pushed it forward, it'd go faster, and if you pulled back, it'd go slower. And then if you pulled all the way back, it broke. It had brakes. But there was a sign that said, "Slow your cart down, there's a dip ahead." Well, being a kid, I thought, you know, screw that, man, I'm gonna go faster. Man, I flew over the first dip. I didn't even dip. The sled kept going straight, and I was like airborne for about a few seconds, and I hit the top of the second dip going down, and it like pivoted my sled when I finally hit the chute, back down or chute. My sled started doing like that, and I just flipped and rolled, and luckily I didn't break any bones, but I tore skin off the side of my arms and my knees from that concrete sled going down there. And well, the next time I rode it, I obeyed the signs. I didn't try to speed that sucker up again, because that shit hurt. But yeah, Chattanooga was fun back then. I don't think they have that anymore. Besides, probably some dumbass did the same thing I did and killed himself. I don't know. But you wrote it, Rolling Death Ride. It is, man. If you ain't watching what you're doing, because there's some curves in that too, man. There's some curves that you hit, and you're like sideways for about 10 seconds. And there's no roll cage or nothing around you. It was just an open sled. It was like a plastic sled that you was sitting on that had windshield wipers for brakes. Oh man, it was cool though. Yeah, but getting back that on Junior, man, that it took a blow to me because he was one of my best friend in my life. They shut all of them down. I didn't know they had more than one. Uh, I know there's a new in the Alps. There's a ride that's similar to that, but you're on a steel track, and the sled that you're on is much more sophisticated, and you can put two people on it. But it's locked down onto this railway, but you control the speed, and it goes through like 5 miles in the Alps, all through the forest, down this mountain. Man, you talk about would be a good uh, walkthrough or a Bigfoot sighting. There's a Bigfoot sighting likely to happen when you're on this sled. I would just like to do a video going down the sled and see what we catch. You know what I'm saying? So that's that, man. Ian, you still there? I don't know if you guys watch Tin Man's Bigfoot research. He was on here just a second ago talking with me. Man, that guy's got some good footage, and also his research on the trees. I haven't fully watched like every single episode he puts out because he puts like 6 out when he does, and they're each like 2 to 3 minutes long, and I skip through videos on all my subscribers. I'm subbed to like 100 different Bigfoot research groups and different. You know, I try to get the more serious guys out there, the ones that are actually researching the subject and trying to make sense. You know, I don't watch anybody like that idiot dog herder or. Now, see, I'm subscribed to Snowwalker Prime, and I don't watch him that much because he just gets a little bit too far out there for me too sometimes. Even though he's a really good guy, and he means everything he means is totally legit. Um, Here a while back, he was doing a thing to where he was inviting people over to his areas and was going to give free camp setup sites and walkthroughs to his areas, and shown, you know, what Bigfoot really is, what it's about in his area, and that would have been something nice to go to. Oh, them Dogman prints, man, they were huge. I'm talking, they were the size of my hand. Did you see me when I had my hand down there? They were the size of my freaking hand. I had some girl come on there when I made that video and said they're dog prints, nothing big there. Well, man, if somebody's got Marmaduke or something out there walking him, that area where I was at was 2 miles from the nearest from the nearest house civilization anywhere. It was 2 miles into the woods, and this was before they started doing that green line thing. It was, you had to walk through the woods to get to that part of the river. And Rich, that's not a river right there. That's just a slack runoff from the Memphis drainage, where all the rainwater and everything runs off into this ditch and then runs out to the Wolf River, and then the Wolf River runs out to the Mississippi River. So if there was somebody out there walking their dog, we don't have no wolves around here, and if we have a coyote, if a coyote is that damn big, then I'm not going back in them fucking woods again. I'm damn sure not. Jim Dawson caught what he assumes is a dogman up in a tree at 10:54 or 10:56 of that video. And sure enough, there is one up there. I went back and looked at it, and sure enough, there's one standing up in the fucking tree. And there's several people that's went back and looked at it and has caught it. I've never done any type of screenshot video on it, but you know, I might put it in the researcher's lounge one of these days. But I catch so much stuff in my footage. I mean, these areas are so small that there's so many, or I say there's so many Sasquatch migrating back and forth up the Wolf River from the Mississippi that you know, you're going to get large segments or large groups stopping and staying a few nights or lingering there in that part of the woods. And I mean, they're so tight together that you see them like within every 100 yards there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in the bushes or behind trees or up in the trees. But what I was saying yesterday, Scarborough, the Dogman tracks, the video that says I have a hard time with my videos because when I make them, I just off the top of my head what I'm thinking about, that's what I name. It's biggest Dogman tracks I've ever seen, I think is the name of the video. And at 10:56, if you freeze frame, stop the video at 10:56 or 10:54, I can't remember which one it was. But there's a Dogman or a Squatch up in a tree, staring straight down at me, and that's cool. It's cool that the viewers can catch those things because I don't see everything. I talk a lot about the Bigfoot and how they fool us. You will be surprised on how many claims I make. It's very bizarre. Oh, I know, because there's a lot of things in my videos that I catch just on camera swipes when I'm moving. I move around a lot. I'm bipolar from hell. I can't sit still. Just watching me now, you know, I can't. I'll have to be doing something with my hands. I'm thinking about getting me one of those damn fidget spinners to occupy my mind because I'm hyper naturally. I'm just naturally hyper. No, I'm not on meth or any type of. Not today, anyway. No, I'm not on any type of speed, if that's what you say. I do drink a good amount of coffee. There's coffee brewing 24 hours a day here at this house. So my house is actually recovering addicts. Most of us that live here, who I call my sister and brother-in-law, they both are big active in Narcotics Anonymous, DBSA, which is a depression, bipolar, PTSD support group that meets 3 to 4 times a week here in Memphis, and they help people with those type of illnesses or mental disabilities cope with themselves and everyday life. Cheers to you, Ian. I wish I had a beer, but you know what? Here's tea. Cheers to you. Man, I used to drink a lot of beer. Every day. I mean, I'd get off of work. I'd come home. I'd drink a couple 24 ounces, you know, big boys, and chill out for the evening. But after my accident, I just, when I had my spleen removed, I can always see these beings on the videos. I can always see these beings on the videos, but I don't doubt that other people can. Alright, Ian. See you later, man. Take care. Roland. I see them. There's a lot of times I catch them out the corner of my eye. That, now, yesterday, there was a Sasquatch up in a tree. I didn't catch it with my eyes, or I caught it on camera, but I didn't know it was there until I was going through it after I got home and went through it. And Scarborough, I think he left, man. He said something about he was going, or off he went, or something like that. But I caught it, man, and it's got this look on his face like I surprised him, and he's like starting to like materialize or dematerialize, or cloak, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's starting. It looks like it's starting to emanate from his chest area. It's like real red, and then turns white around this area, and he's got this surprised look on his face. And I made a little short video. It wasn't but like probably 15-30 seconds long, and I put it through that Majestic video app, which it done an astonishing job making it, but it was too short. I'm gonna make another one on it on a screenshot video, and let y'all look at it. Yeah, it is, man. My videos, like I said, the woods and forests are so tight knit together that they don't have room to really get around and walk around in, and there's so many that's coming up this river, that's going up the Wolf River. My first area was Area 1, and it was on that habituation site, which I got thrown off of, and it's off of the Wolf River, but their woods are much more big and spread out. I mean, there's like 300, 400 acres of nothing but woods in that area that you could go past. Well, as soon as you go past Houston Levy Road, it's nothing but woods. I mean, just for miles and miles and miles. And I mean, all the way up Tennessee is just nothing but woods. And I want to get in that area. I want to go and get 2 or 3 guys and do a trip up through there, take some tents and, you know, some gear, and get up and go up there. And that's what McDuffie 81. Do you know of McDuffie 81? I've seen him before, Scarborough. I don't remember the conversation I had with him, or if he said some stupid shit and I got onto him. I don't know. Well, what about him? What about him, Scarborough? I'll wait for you to answer. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna start a Patreon page. I do have a prepaid Visa card. It's maxed out right now, but it's on, and you can load things on. You can load money onto it. I'll see how all that works once I restart my Patreon page again. I got 1 like. 4 people watching. 4. Or is there just 4 on? I don't know. Just wondering why he would block me for pointing out Bigfoot evidence. Was you pointing out Bigfoot evidence on his site or someone else's, and he disagreed with it or something like that? I don't know. I have seen him on D's chat on his channel. I have seen that. I do remember that. How did he block you? I mean, was you on his channel, or was he on your channel, or what? His site? I've never been to his site, so I don't know. Does he have a Bigfoot Sasquatch site, or is it something else? Hey, Matt. On the It annoys me when people put shit on the person making the vids because they can't see what's in the video. I know, me too. And what really annoys me when they give you some smart ass comment, you know, or they're trying to make a joke or put you down or criticize what you're seeing or what you're doing. That's what pisses me off and makes me, you know, cuss them out. I have a short fuse on that. It was on his channel, 3,200 subscribers. Damn, he's got 3,200 subscribers. What's he doing? What's he doing that I'm not? You know. I don't know. I've been in this for about 3 years, and my Memphis Sasquatch channel didn't reach 150 until, you know, the first year I was on. I got up to 150. Well, my first channel was Memphis Squatches, and it got hardly like about 32 subscribers, if that. And Bigfoot research since 2008. Well, yeah, since 2008, man, that's like 10 years, almost 10 years ago. So, and he's gotten 32 since then. Well, that's, but I want 1,000 before the end of the year's up. That's my goal. I want 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so I can start, you know, making something, man. Because, you know, all this is coming out of my pocket. I have not had no help whatsoever. Even if I can't see what they're talking about, I always try to keep it positive. That's right. That's right. I do too. And or just don't comment. You know, you don't see nothing. Fine. You know, I'm not gonna try to push you into seeing it. Yeah, well, you know, some people are dicks. And some people can't take positive, you know, some people can't take positive attention. They always want negativity around them. You know, a lot of times I may sound negative, and I do have a little short fuse. I pop off a lot. So if I'm reading something and it pisses me off, I'm going to automatically tell you, fat fucker, who the hell are you thinking it is? You know, and or if they really get on to me, I dig into them. You know, I go look at their site, I go to their profile, I start finding out who the hell they are, and then I come back with some big whoppers, you know, and really piss them off. Yes, I was telling last night I joined Tennessee Bigfoot News, and this damn idiot Bryce something another. I can't remember his last name, or something Trice or something like that. Brian Trice. I can't even remember, but every answer I had for him, he would not go back and look at the picture and just, he's seen a tree, so it's a tree. That's what he says. Yeah, a lot of these people are looking for that Patty upright. You know, Patty was one Sasquatch. You know, they're just like us. None of them look the same. They all got different features. Their bodies look different. You know, their hair is different. Their facial features are different. You know, they may be upright and walking, but they're, you know. Patty had a dozen babies all over her, clinging to her, so we didn't really know what she looked like. We seen what we seen, you know, and from all the babies mixed in with her, it just looked like normal body weight and body mass, but it wasn't, you know. You know, some of these Sasquatches may be thin and skinny, strong wind will blow them over, and you know, you get a bunch of babies on them all tucked in there and they're wrapped around them. There's a lot of people that don't believe in the cloaking, Scarborough. I mean, there's a ton of people out there that say, look at Robert Dodson. I mean, I've seen him go off and say, man, these things don't cloak. Don't you fucking tell me these things cloak. These things don't cloak. I've heard him go off on people telling him. And, you know, just some people, their brains just can't go there. I don't know. You know, that's the first thing I've seen out here in Memphis. I never seen that in Arkansas. I never seen that, you know, growing up. You know, yeah. Well, I think we all fall into this as the bipedal creature. I mean, you know, whether we were young, especially those of us that's in our late 30s and upper 40s on up, You know, most of us that had our first encounters, they were, you know, the Sasquatch that, like Patty, you know, that's, or, you know, the skunk apes or swamp men or, you know, boogers or whatever. Uh, they were like the Patty, you know, when we first seen them, which was by accident on a lot of people. You know, a lot of people that have this one-time sighting, or they may see them maybe 3 times their whole life, is because they're not meant to see them. This it's not a field that they should be in. Uh, you know, those of us that are out there researching and we see this, we have just nonstop sightings, nonstop encounters. It's because we were meant to. We were meant to see these things. We were meant to do this research, to follow this field in our life, to follow this passion, this your fate, you know, whatever. We were meant to do it. And all right, Matt. See you later, man. You have a good one. Get back to that. I hate night work, man. I do. I had them jobs where I hated to work at night. I'm so glad I'm a painter and a construction. I do it when the sun's up. But yeah, I think I was meant for this, man. My first sighting was when I was 12, and my second sighting, well, you know, my first sighting was an encounter. The thing walked. I've seen it from the toes on up to the head, and yeah, that was an encounter right there. But the next time I was 13, the next time I seen a squatch, and I was on vacation with my parents. We was up in North Carolina, and I seen one peeking out from a tree, and I watched it a couple times, duck and look, and then I seen it walk from a tree to a tree, and it was gone. I didn't see it any more after that. And then the next time was in my adult life. I was in my early 20s. I was traveling from, oh, speak of the devil, I was traveling from not Tifton, but from Waycross to Valdosta, and I was walking down that long road, no homes, nothing, no street lights. It was pitch black, and I heard this thing coming through the woods, and it was grunting, and it had some of that samurai speech. There was 2 or 3 of them that was in there, and they were hollering at us. They threw pine cones and sticks and other shit at me, and there was another guy that was with me. He was freaking out. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. He kept saying a bear, and I was like, dude, a bear doesn't pick up a pine cone and throw it at you. Now come on, you know. And he kept thinking it was somebody in there playing tricks on us, and it wasn't. I'm like, we're 20 miles from the nearest town, in the middle of the frickin' woods on an interstate. You know, who's going to be in there, don't know us from Adam, and hide in the dark, no light whatsoever, and throw shit at us? Now, them were Sasquatch, and I know it in my heart. I mean, we had the skunk smell, the just want to make you throw up stench that was coming from the woods, and that samurai talk, that jabber, you know. And that's when I was like, that stuck in my mind, and I just, from there on out, started every woods, every forest I went to, I started looking for signs until, you know, and found them in many places. When I lived in Arkansas, I had my own site out there. I did research and investigation. I went out in them woods, and because I lived on the property, I had 5.5 acres. My house sat in the middle of the 5.5 acres, and all around my property, I had nonstop interaction. I mean, they would come up to the house. They would, I'd go out the next day. I'd find spots out in the brush where something sat there and took twigs and broke little tiny twigs and broke them up in little pieces and stacked them in piles, going across from where they were sitting at. And you know, I lived 15 miles outside the city limits in the middle of international paperwood property, that paper mill property that had just woods all around me. My nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile away, you know, and none of my friends damn sure didn't sit out there because everybody knew I was armed. I mean, I had an array of shotguns and pistols in my house that none of my friends was going to come out there and sit out in the yard. Just flat. So, but yeah, so a lot of the things that I ran into out there, I wish I would have looked into it a little further nowadays, because I was in my early 20s back then. I just came up on a money deal that made me a lot of money real quick. I mean, a lot of money, and I was able to purchase that land and that house. And of course, I was young and dumb, and I was involved in some things that most of y'all are not, or most people are not. So I was a trafficker, you might say, and I got a one lump sum of money, $32,000 to be exact, and I purchased 5 acres of property that had it was actually a deer club to begin with, and I remodeled it and turned it into a 1-bedroom home. But after about 5 years, I let some idiots do something at my house, and I lost it. Oh man, if that would have happened to me on a 4-wheeler and this thing come out running, chasing me, oh man, I would have throttled that son of a bitch. I'd have been long gone. That would have freaked me out. Because I haven't really seen them move quick. Most of the times when I have seen the upright creature, it was either standing still, so still that you had to look, you know, turn and look at it a few times before you think it was like, is that something there, or yeah. Pegged it. I hear you. I don't know how long I'm gonna stay on tonight, but since it's only you and maybe one other, get a little mellower. This is Junior's. We ran out of rolling papers one night and broke the shit, and old Memphis Junior Sasquatch came up with this idea, and he made us like a one-hitter. Yeah, well, if you was rolling through there and you went through one of his areas, and you know, it might have had an adolescence or something out there, and you went through there on that 4-wheeler, and yeah, you probably did piss it off. I don't know, you know. But yeah, my encounter was, I was 12 years old when I had my first encounter, and it's still in the back of my mind. You know, I couldn't believe that I like froze where I was at, because I froze. My friend that was with me, I heard the grunt. I looked off into the brush. It started to walk out. I looked back at my friend. He was gone. There was a puff of dust where he was originally standing, and he was almost to the interstate. God, 30 feet. Well, the one that I seen, it was about, I'd say 15 feet from me. It or maybe 20. It might have been 20 feet, but originally I was sitting down, and when I heard the grunt, I came to my feet and was looking off in that direction, and when it popped up out of that sawgrass, and I just completely froze in my tracks. I was like, what the fuck is that? And, you know, before then, I had heard before then. Of course, as a child, parents, you know, the parents told us shit, you know, don't go in the woods, you know, the boogers are out there, they'll get you and this and that. And I always thought, you know, they're trying to scare us not to go in the woods at night and everything. So that was my first thing. But when this thing popped itself up out of that sawgrass and I seen it when I was 12 years old, I knew exactly what they were talking about. And yeah, so I kept my ass didn't go back in the woods at night unless I had a shotgun or something with me. You know, and back then my dad was an avid hunter, fisherman, so those were my Christmas gifts and my birthday presents. I had, you know, my first gun was a 410 breakover. Was my first gun. It was a crack barrel. The barrel went down, you loaded the shell down in it and popped it back up. That was my first gun. And then I graduated to a Remington Model 1100 automatic 20 gauge shotgun. And we did a lot of bird hunting, you know, duck and well, my dad did do some quail hunting. I never went, but dove hunting was one of my favorites. I used to love to go dove hunting. We'd get out there in the field and shoot them doves. But duck hunting, I didn't. Man, I hated back then getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's freezing fucking cold in the camp itself where we was at, and getting in a P-row and going out there a lot of times chipping ice with a ice hammer or something, trying to get out to the duck blind so you could sit out there and freeze for another 3 or 4 hours, waiting for some ducks to either land in front of you with some decoys or fly over your fucking blind. I used to hate that shit. My dad used to force me to do that shit and make me get in them blinds. So duck hunting is completely out for me. But that was my birthday present. Was a 20 gauge automatic. It was a Remington Model 1100. It was some series back then that was pretty popular. It had a double recoil pad, and it had the lift sighting on the barrel that had the red tip at the end. It was a nice gun. My dad had it engraved and had my name and shit on it. Yeah, I lost that gun a long time ago. Well, no, in my 20s, I sold it. I needed money and I sold it. Should I be smoking weed on YouTube? I don't know. But, like I said, I'm bipolar, and I'm not on any meds or anything. I don't go to a doctor, which I need to. I should. I was talking to me and my brother-in-law tonight was having a conversation about they would help me go and get with these doctors and get on these meds. He thinks I'm going to be on Depakote or something to start, and I don't even know what that is or what it does, but supposedly it's supposed to get me on my right track, whatever that is. And I'm just used to being me. But everyone does say well, I am 100% bipolar, but there's no telling what else I am. And I'd like to know, because there's a lot of things about myself I'd like to know. Who I really am, where I come from, where my bloodline is. You know, I don't know any of that. Alright. Did y'all leave, or did y'all just get interested in what I was saying? Excuse me a second. Oh God. My back. my neck, my back. Sorry about that, y'all. But I'm fixing to be hitting that bed over there pretty soon, and tonight's not much of a. I got 3 on here, so I got Roland, Scarborough, and Matt's gone, so who else do we have there? I know Ian left. Now, I'm gonna try to start doing these maybe like every other night or something. I was thinking of an every night show, but going back to work tomorrow, I don't think that's gonna be too much, because I'm gonna be getting off work and be tired as hell. I'm gonna be going straight to bed, probably. But I'll get back out there pretty soon. We're gonna hit them areas before it gets cold. Although, you know, no, Scarborough don't sound crazy. I mean, if that was like your first encounter, you know, I mean, how many was there? Was there like a group of them, or just one Sasquatch that you had an encounter with? Just one? Yeah. I don't know. I think being just one, that could be, that scenario could go to, you know, several different ways. Depends on what type of squatch it was, you know, whether it was one that was away from the group, or one that was scouting for a group, or, you know, there's a lot can go that way. All right, Roland. You didn't have to tell me that, but okay. Well, Scarborough looks like just me and you, man. Scarborough, where you live at, man? Where are you from? Six and a half feet tall, young adult. He might have just been curious. Scarborough probably, you know, it was probably his first time being that close to a human, and was curious. Did you freeze where you was at, or did you like take off as soon as you seen it? Ontario, Canada. Nice. Hey, you up in there in illegal. You can grow a plant right out in your yard, can't you? I went to Montreal for 2 weeks. I was in Montreal for 2 weeks in 2002, and stayed at this Holiday Inn. I think it was a Holiday Inn. It was underground. I mean, the motel, our rooms were underground, and hot tub in the middle of the room. That was the coolest thing. You get out of bed and just walk down into the hot tub. That was just crazy, and but it was cool. I stayed out there 2 weeks. Some of the cleanest air I have ever breathed in my entire life was up there in Montreal, and Vue d'Anjou. The guy that I was with, he had family in Vue d'Anjou. He was born and raised in Vue d'Anjou, and lived in Montreal for a long time before he moved. Why he moved way the fuck down here, I don't know. But and be in Memphis, that was just fucked. Turned to run, changed my mind, turned around to see it again for a minute or two. Man, I wish I would have, you know, back when I was 12, I wish I that the thing that came out, it looked over where my friend was kicking up dust and grunted and looked over at me, just not real quick, but just glanced over at me and sort of grumbled or grunted itself and backed backed one step and turned and just walked right back into that sawgrass. And that was it. I didn't hear nothing. I stayed there for about 30 seconds, and then I turned and I ran out of there. And my friend was outside. I was damn near to the interstate, and we was like, maybe a tenth of a mile off of Airline Highway in a dry part of the Bonnie Carey Spillway, which is the drain off when the Mississippi River gets too high, and it drains off through the Bonnie Carey Spillway, and it dumps over into Lake Pontchartrain. But he was almost at the interstate, and I didn't realize I was crying until I got to him. I had tears streaming out. He was like, "What the hell was that?" I was like, it was one of those boogers that Mom and Dad talk about all the time, that, tell us not to go in the woods, that there's boogers out there. That's what that was. And I tripped, and we vowed not to tell anybody about it. But when I did say something, it was to my mom, and she told me not to say nothing to my dad. Just told me not to go back in the woods again. Which, bullshit. I was back in the woods the next day. I was all through them damn woods. Me and some friends carrying machetes, walking down through there, thinking we're badass. I'd like to try something because I like berries. I drink a lot of juices, mixed berry juices like pomegranate, blueberry, that Akaya drink. I drink a lot of antioxidant drinks, Gatorade and Powerade every once in a while. They don't do a too good job on my stomach, but a lot of, right now I've got an array of Minute Maids. I keep like a little cooler. It's a, one of them small fridges I keep in my room, and I got an array of Minute Maid juices down there. I think I'm gonna try. I'm not too much on lemonade, but strawberry lemonade I think I can do. Scarborough, you say you're from Ontario, Canada. You're in the city of Ontario, or in the province, or however y'all call it up there. When I was in Montreal, and that was in 2002, American cigarettes was $12 a pack. If you were to go to buy a pack of Marlboro, they were $12 a fucking pack. Whereas Montreal and Canada, they had their Type A cigarettes or Type B cigarettes. That was the name of their cigarettes. They didn't have an array of different names. It was either you bought Type A or you bought Type B. Type A was full flavor, Type B was menthol. And they were like, same price as ours down here, but you got a pack of American cigarettes, man, they were $12 a pack. I was like, hell no, I'm glad I brought 2 cartons with me across the border. Montreal's in Quebec, okay, so there's a difference. Us looking at Canada up here, we don't see it as in provinces or parishes. Louisiana's got parishes instead of counties, which they're made up. I'm sure you know how it's made up, but anyway. No, I didn't view it like that. I thought that Montreal was a province or a parish or city, and it was in Canada. And then Quebec, uh, Scarborough is a borough of Toronto. Oh, I didn't know that, but I was thinking the song from Simon and Garfunkel, Scarborough Fair. That was one of my favorite songs from them, east of Toronto. I still don't know anything about Toronto or Quebec or any of that area. I know they got the real deal Sasquatch up there. And from what I understand, most of them are violent up there. A lot of the violent stories that I hear all come from Canada. That's damn good. Bare Naked Ladies. Bare Naked Ladies. Is that a band or what? I mean, I damn sure ain't got none in my bed. Not lately, anyway. Music. Yeah, I kind of heard of them. What about them? Got two watching. Who's the other guy that's watching? Is that you, Junior? Sing about Scarborough. Oh, okay. Well, you ain't never heard the song Scarborough Fair by Simon and Garfunkel? Video. Oh, I'll check it out. Yeah, right after I get offline, I'll check it out. And it seems like me and you are the only ones talking. There's somebody else watching, but he hasn't said nothing. Yeah, Simon Garfunkel. Yeah, yeah. That's one of my favorite songs. Anyway, I'm back to missing my buddy. Junior, Brandon, yeah. He was a lot more than a friend. Tell you the truth. And, I miss him. Make the same mistake. Oh, okay. Well, it's an old song, so it's an awesome song, though. Scarborough Fair. What really happened with Junior? That's what happened. We had a falling out here. I mean, we got into an argument, and I can't even remember what the argument was about, but he took off yesterday morning. I went out looking for him and did them videos down in my area because I thought there's a lot of times he'd leave the house and he'd go down in them areas by himself. And over what? I really don't want to get into that. Scarborough. I just that's kind of private, but not really is so much private. It's just I really don't want to discuss it to the world right now. Anyway, he'd go down there and solitude by himself, and he'd either picture or photograph or whatever and talk to him, go down there and talk to the Squatch. And I thought he was down there, Thanks, man. It's all true. It really wasn't a testimonial yesterday. It's just giving y'all a better look at me, at what I'm about, where I come from, my background, and that type of thing. A lot of people on YouTube that we watch, we don't know anything about them, except for people like D and the group and family that meets there. Everybody on there is either on my Facebook, or I've got home numbers to them, and I talk to them, I text them, call and talk with them, and the rest are on Facebook. Yeah, I hear you, Scarborough. But if you go to my Facebook page, I've got two. I've got two running sites right now. I've got the Sasquatch Dogman Believers group. I've got a moderator that runs the group mostly during the day, or 24/7. And she's got some amazing evidence. I mean, she's got squash that live in her yard, and yeah, Scarborough, there wasn't no jail involved yesterday, and I wish it wouldn't have went that far. I really wish it wouldn't. I wish we could have stopped it way before then. Anyway, what was I talking about? Damn, what was I talking about? Short-term memory, man, getting old. Yeah, yesterday, most of the people that I talked to there at the BRP, I mean, especially everyone in D's group, D, Tater, Tex, Pam, Liz, Brown Dwarf, all of them, we're all on Facebook together. A lot of them I've got, I talk to them either on the phone or text. And getting back my groups, yeah, on Facebook. My brain's burned. I've got the Sasquatch Dogman Believers group. Yeah, they are. And they are. I was talking about that earlier. I've got a lot of dogmen that's in my areas that's popping up. Yesterday I told you about that one that chased me down throughout the woods, and I thought I was dead then. I thought the damn thing was going to kill me. I knew it in my heart that this thing, and all I had was my knife on me that day. I had my hand on its hilt, and I was just like, man, if you're going to come, because I'm going to stab you. You're going to get some jugs in you. But them guys on them four-wheelers come barreling around the corner, and it stopped in its tracks, and it was like, it was probably 75 to 100 feet from me, and that tripped me out. I freaked out. I didn't go back in the woods for a long time for that. I think it was like a month before I went back out there. Well, in my areas, yeah, they are around Bigfoot, but for some reason I have a inner feeling that they're not mingling with each other, because there's areas that there's just dogmen. I mean, it's like a group of them. There's probably 8, 9 of them in this group, and they stay in that one area, and they've got sentinels out either in trees or around their area watching. And it's not one sentinel. There's 2 or 3 of them out there, and I see them a lot. the dog man, I do, and the real dark, ominous feeling I get in those areas, I don't like being in them. And that dagger that I carry on my side, I wish that damn thing was, you know, a 50 cal or something on my shoulder. Yeah, I have too. I have too. Or not in my videos, but just out there. You know, when my camera shut off, I see twice much more when my camera's off. Johnny 2287. Appreciated that, Johnny. I've got a lot of them out there. You can check them all out. And I got an old channel that's that I can't get into. I'm blocked out of, but it's Memphis Sasquatch. Check that channel out. There's a lot of evidence there. I've also got Mid-South Sasquatch, which it's on YouTube, but I don't have it running right now. It was an idea in my head to where I wanted to get researchers to all join, and we do like outings in each other's sites. You know, one weekend out of the month, you go over to Arkansas and go to the Ozarks up in there, which, speaking of, me and a friend of mine, we've been planning for, and he's paying for all this. I don't have the funds to actually pitch in on it, which I may have a little bit, but not much. We're going to the Ozarks October 25th to October 30th. We're gonna be out there doing our own thing, squatching, looking, just looking and doing some video. So look forward to that. That's going to be a gateway. It's going to go on my Mid-South Sasquatch channel, and it's going to be presented by Bigfoot Memphis, but be on that channel. So if you're not subscribed to Mid-South Sasquatch, go over there, subscribe, and you'll see that footage, which I'll probably share it on my Bigfoot Memphis channel too. Have you heard about wait a minute. What? Have you heard about pterodactyls being seen at research sites? No, Scarborough, I have not heard of any pterodactyls being. That's a dinosaur, right? That's one of those flying bird dinosaurs. I've seen a lot of that on YouTube on different areas of the country, but most of it's over there in Britain or the UK or something like that. I haven't seen none of that in the United States. Is that for real, or is that something you heard? I've seen video like picture stills. I haven't seen like live video of a pterodactyl flying through the air. I've seen video to where they've got the freeze frame of a video, or maybe a video of a pterodactyl looking bird up flying in the sky, but it's not moving. But I also heard of these types of birds that they have over in the UK that have long feathers, flowing feathers, and Johnny, do you see the little people also around your Bigfoot area? Yes, Johnny, I do. And as a matter of fact, I hear them and catch them out the corner of my eye more than I do on camera. But I've got a lot of footage of little people on camera. And if you go to, it's back a couple months ago, but I put a video out there called, Is This Juvenile Sasquatch or Little People? That video has some amazing shots in it, and it came out of another screenshots off of another video, but I think it was you, Scarborough, that said that those were some type. You didn't say little people. You said they were not gnomes, but fuck, I can't remember. It was something else. It was something, and I might be mistaken, Scarborough. It might not have been you. It might have been Roland or somebody else that's subbed to me. But well, no, that's not the word that was used, Scarborough. They are dwarfs to me, but it was another word. It was you. Well, you didn't say dwarfs. You said another word besides that. Strites or strites or stripes, something like that. I had a Y in it. Anyway, Scarborough. And Johnny, I hate you came in late, man, but I'm tired. This chair I'm sitting in is killing my back, and I've already been on for about an hour and a half. I'm tired. Got to get up and go to work in the morning. Um, I don't know when the next time I'll come on. Like I said, I was gonna do an every night show, but elves. No, that wasn't a word neither. I'll look back on it, Scarborough, and I'll send you a inbox or something. Pine Barrens, I see them also. DDoS told me. Whoa. DDoS told me to check your channel out. Have a good night, sir. Johnny, you have a good night, man. DDoS was a good friend of mine, and yeah, I support his channel and support him. So, yeah, appreciate it, man. Sorry you came in late, Scarborough. I'll see you later. And whoever the other guy is watching but hasn't said anything, you have a good night yourself. And Junior, if that's you and you just want to say nothing, that's cool. That's fine with me, and it's cool. But don't be quiet too much longer. Give me a holler some way. Unblock me off Facebook too, and Messenger. Y'all have a good night. I'm Mark. It's Bigfoot Memphis. See ya on the next run.